All right, hey everybody, Professor Klein here in the Human Anatomy Lab at Ohio University. Today I'm doing a video on the Testis Model. Let's begin. All right, so here's the Testis Model, and I really should say testes and the epididymis, as they often are partnered together. Here we can see more of a covered layer of the testes and the epididymis. Now, where is this at in the body? Before we dive into this model, over here on this model, you can see here's the testes and the epididymis, covered by a layer of skin, connective tissue, and fat called the scrotum. So the scrotum are these layers out here covering the actual testes and epididymis. But back to this model, as we can see inside, what are some other layers? And if I had something like this would be like the scrotum. But in addition to the scrotum, there are layers of what's called tunica vaginalis. And if blue is the scrotum, red would be the parietal layer of the tunica vaginalis. Now there's a little bit of a space, then another layer called the visceral layer. This right here, see this really thin layer? This is not the scrotum. This is the visceral layer of the tunica vaginalis. See it wrapping all the way around. Let's zoom in. That is the tunica vaginalis. There's even one more layer slash fill-in called the tunica albuginea. And that's like this pale color, not the red, but the pale color in between the red. So those are the layers, but what's inside the testes? Well, this is where sperm is produced, but it's specifically produced in these tubules called seminiferous tubules. These are seminiferous tubules, and if you were to cut into one of those, this is what you're looking at right here. This is a seminiferous tubule with a lumen. It's hollow inside, right? It's a tube, so it's got to be hollow for the sperm to go into and travel through. And a more 3D look at it here would be something like this paper towel, where the sperm go in and then down the tubule. But before we move on, there's something else, and this is straight from my lab handout that I have my students learn from. And it says letter A. What type of cells are found where letter A is found? Because the testes also is a major producer of a certain hormone. Do you guys know what hormone I'm talking about? If you're thinking about testosterone, you would be correct. These cells are called Leydig cells, and they are in between the seminiferous tubules. They're also called interstitial cells. Interstitial because they're in between these seminiferous tubules. So that's what's going on inside the testes. But back to here to round out the other stuff. Notice there's these squiggly lines for the seminiferous tubules. When they become straight, they're now called the straight tubules. Then we've got what's called the reedy testes, the efferent ductules, all these lines here jumping over to the epididymis, and then the head, the body, and the tail of the epididymis leading out to the vas deferens, or also called the ductus deferens. Check out my other video on the full pathway of sperm, but this is just an overview of the testes and epididymis model. And that concludes this video on the testes model. Thanks for watching.